Good morning. This is Faith in Our Hometown, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin. And now, here's your host, Father Jay Friedel.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us for another Sunday morning of Faith in Our Hometown. We're glad you take part of your Sunday morning to spend it with us as we discuss different topics of interest to us as people of faith in the greater Joplin area. And even if you're not a person of faith, we're even doubly glad you joined us because you care about what goes on in Joplin, okay? My guest this morning is Lane Freeborn, and Lane is the area director for Southwest Missouri's Young Life program. Our young people are exposed to lots, and they're exposed to a lot more at a much earlier age than they ever were when somebody like me was growing up. That's a long time ago now. It's been many, many years since I've been a teenager. And I believe that our youth have a little tougher go of it these days. And so there are lots of folks out there in lots of different communities and in lots of different ways who reach out to our youth and to make sure they've got a strong foundation. And Young Life is one of those. So we're going to be right back after this Mercy Minute. Grab your coffee cup and settle in. I'll be back with Lane Freeborn right after this message from Mercy.
Lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer deaths in the U.S., and now we have an effective tool to screen for it. A low-dose CT uses a lower amount of radiation than a standard chest CT.
Breathe in.
Better detailed pictures than a chest x-ray of small abnormal areas of the lung. A person must be between 55 to 77 years old, asymptomatic, which means they don't have any symptoms such as coughing up blood, chronic cough, shortness of breath, unusual weight loss, or any other worrisome symptoms. They must also be a current smoker or have quit within the past 15 years, also must have a 30-pack year history or more, which equates to smoking 1 pack a day for 30 years, or 2 packs a day for 15 years. People generally avoid these scans possibly due to fear of what could be found. Like many other cancers, if we can detect lung cancer early, it could be very treatable and life-saving.
Well, thank you again for joining us for another episode of Faith in Our Hometown this week. I hope your Sunday's going well. My guest this morning, Lane Freeborn, who's the area director for Southwest Missouri's Young Life. And so, Lane, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got going in Young Life.
Yeah, thank you so much, Father Jay, for having me on. This is I've been a big fan of Faith in Our Hometown.
Oh, really? You get up? You need a life on Sunday morning too, huh?
I know. Well, I grew up here, so it's super important to me that we talk about subjects like this. But yeah, I'm the area director of Southwest Missouri Young Life, which means I oversee Young Life in Joplin and Carl Junction, and there also is a ministry in Carthage as well. And I was a Young Life kid, and so I grew up in middle school and high school going to Wildlife, which is our middle school program, and Young Life, and met the Lord through Young Life, and it deeply impacted my life personally. So
now you're paying it. Now you're paying it backward.
That's right. So I got into college and became a Young Life leader, and then after college, really felt the Lord calling me into service as a Young Life staff person. That's what I've been doing.
Well, I'm going to tell you, and I think I speak for any of the older ministers in town. Ministry is a great life. I don't care who you're serving.
Absolutely.
I don't care who you're working for. It's a great life, and anybody that gets into it that's supposed to be in it loves it.
Yeah.
If you're not supposed to be in it, most of the time you're pretty miserable and you'll get out pretty fast. But I hope, my friend, this is the beginning of a nice long career for you in ministry, and that it continues to bring you that joy.
That's my
because
prayer.
It will. Yeah, it is great. So tell everybody, not everybody who watches knows what Young Life is. So why don't you explain, how you got involved with it and what you guys do, and we'll start there.
Yeah, so Young Life, I'll give you the formal answer. Our mission statement is to introduce adolescents to Jesus Christ and help them grow in their faith. And more kind of specifically, we're going after kids who do not necessarily have a relationship with Jesus, or even are disinterested in the church, or just don't come from a background of being raised in a church and that kind of thing. And so we really exist and do our work through 3 different ways in introducing kids to Christ. And the first is contact work, and we really take that after the model of the incarnation of Jesus, who is God, but was also human, came to earth and entered the world of man as a man, and was born as a baby. And in the same way, we as Young Life leaders and Young Life staff enter into the world of kids to really understand them and then build a friendship with them that we hope leads to having a conversation about following Jesus Christ. We also have our weekly gatherings that we call Club, and it's not really like a youth group that you might find. It's what we like to say is kind of a party with a purpose.
Okay.
And so
works for me.
Yeah,
it works for them. Works for me.
That's right, and it's we really try to create a safe place where all kids of all backgrounds can come and feel safe, but also have a really great time playing games, listening and singing music, songs that they might know on the radio, but then having a place where they can ask questions and also hear.
Now, I'm guessing for any parents or grandparents that are watching that those kind of, that safe space also means that you've screened everybody and, everybody's been background checked.
That's
and all
correct.
that kind of good stuff. So again, really, truly, if your kids would be involved, that there's at least that the environment's being monitored and watched and was checked and all that kind of good stuff too, which is always just very important when we're dealing with young people.
Yeah, and that's very true. The thankful part that we are a big global organization. We're in 110 countries in all 50 states, and so we have all those kind of resources to make sure that our volunteers are healthy, that our kids are healthy, and that the ministry that we are doing is healthy as we are trying to help kids just kind of navigate a crazy world.
And it is a crazy world they live in.
Oh my goodness.
So those are two things. All right, so you got your contacts, you got your club. What's the third one?
The third one is probably the most fun for our students, which is summer camp.
Okay.
And this is an opportunity for them. We just got back from our summer camp, actually, and it was an incredible experience. But we really designed our Young Life camps for kids to come and fully hear the gospel, maybe for the first time, presented in a way that they can really understand, and then have a chance to respond to it there. And our camp properties are really immaculate. They're they're not like some of the camps I grew up going up to, maybe where they're in kind of wooden cabins. These are air-conditioned, really incredible facilities, and just some incredible opportunities to adventure and just explore and run free. And us as Young Life leaders and staff, we come alongside those kids during that week and have really important conversations about what's happening in their life and where they're headed and what goals they have, and if they would ever consider entering into a relationship with Jesus Christ. And so those are our three main ways that we really go into kids, and I think the one that you, and especially in our community, will see is contact work. As we go to school lunches, we go to football games, we go to choir concerts, anywhere where a kid may be, you'll see a Young Life leader or staff member. And our Young Life leaders are often volunteer college-age students who give of their time, working around their crazy final schedules and class schedules to really just be a mentor, be a friend to high school students. We are very passionate about the youth, even college students and junior hires in this area, coming to know the Lord, but also just feeling like they have people in their corner. So that's definitely where our heart is at in this community.
Yeah, and so for so many of us, and a lot of the, doing the church work, we've got our own that are coming, and then of course we always invite anybody else who doesn't have another space to be. But one of the things I've always admired about you guys as a church is, you hit the bricks and you get out there and you actually, go into those spaces and, you're there enough. I mean, it's, in some ways, it's like I refer to campus ministry as creative loitering, and that's really what you're doing. I mean, it's like, you're out there and you're just trying to do that. It is interesting. I envy the fact that you guys can do that a little bit. I think it's trickier when somebody like me does it, because I wind up in that situation. It's like, oh, the priest, he's out there trying to get people, or doing whatever, and you don't get the same bad rap. It's just like, oh, look at them, they're out there doing their thing, and I'm doing it. They're just kind of like, he's out there fishing. He's fishing. What's he doing? Yeah.
First of all, I'm going to definitely trademark creative loitering. I think that's...
no, you can't trademark it. I've got a trademark, but you can use it.
I think that's
Imitation
great.
is the greatest form of flattery, so you feel free to steal it and use it all you want, but you can't trademark it.
And the other thing that you said that I thought was really poignant was a clarification that we do like to make to the communities that we serve, which is, we are not the church, and we are not technically affiliated with any church, right? We're an ecumenical ministry, so we do honor and recognize all faith backgrounds, and we do partner with a lot of churches, even some of the Catholic Church. But it's important to make that distinction because our real hope is that these kids one day do enter the church and the body of Christ and get plugged into our local communities. And so I love what you said because it's true. There's a real partnership here in church leaders like you and Young Life staff like me that we can work together in a way that's super fruitful for our kids as they come to make an important decision, and we come alongside them to find them a great church home, find them a great pastor to pastor their life, a youth group to fit into. And so those are things that we really hope and pray for our kids. For sure.
And again, I know that's a common goal that we have because I just don't, here's the thing, in working for Jesus all these years, I know Jesus is going to be okay if I don't try to hit some kid over the head and drag him into church, okay? But what I don't think he'd be happy about is if I didn't care and I didn't listen and I wasn't present, because that's where we really have to find out really what's happening. I mean, you got to have a relationship with people before they'll give you any authority or any listen in their lives.
Absolutely.
You got to have it, and until you build that, and until they trust you to be able to have that relationship, you're not getting anywhere. They won't be able to. They won't be able to hear you because they haven't given you permission to talk to them yet.
Correct. In Young Life, we call that earning the right to be heard among our students.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And I will say this, I think in this day and age, people like me who, we use visible signs and all that kind of good stuff, that used to get me in the door. Not so much anymore, now it just kind of gets you a strange look once in a while. But I think it's important to be there and to be present, to creatively loiter long enough to where people can begin to trust you and give you an opportunity to say, okay, so what are you all about?
Yep.
Okay, I've come to get to know Lane now. I've known Lane for a few weeks, and I think you're okay. All right, so why do you think it's so important that I should know this Jesus guy?
Yeah,
that's where it all boils down to.
Absolutely, I truly believe that, and I think it's important that we're creating genuine friendships with these students that, whether they choose to or not follow Jesus, that we can still be a resource in their life. And I think every kid has a desire to be known and to be loved, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
well, this is it said in the scriptures, to know and be known.
That's correct.
I mean, it's just it's there.
It's huge, and I think if we can do that, that is impacting a kid's life more. And if one day we get to have the conversation and say, that's because Jesus wants to know you, because Jesus loves you, that's a win.
Yeah. Well, sometimes people are like, why do you do this?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I got suckered into it by this friend, and this friend, his name is Jesus, and I've been working for him the last, 35, 40 years, and it's just the way it works. And again, I love it, and you're learning to love it in this way because it's. What else are you going to do that's this exciting?
Yeah.
What else are you going to do that's got this much meaning?
Yeah, and like we said, I was personally impacted by the ministry. I mean, this was my story. I was a high school kid in Joplin, and now I go back to Joplin High School and see kids with the same type of struggles and journeys and kind of the wild kid that I was, and hope to affect their lives the way that Young Life did for mine.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about that after the break because I want to hear that part of the story. But anyway, my guest this morning is Lane Freeborn, and Lane is the area director for Southwest Missouri Young Life. And so we are going to take a real quick break. So refresh your coffee, settle back in, come on ahead. But we're going to be right back after this quick break.
You're watching Faith in Our Hometown on KSN TV. Brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.
Again, thanks for sticking with us for Sunday morning. I hope you've been enjoying our conversation. We're talking about Young Life and ministry to young people who might not be churched, who are looking for some connection. Young Life tries to fulfill that here in our area, especially for Christian youth, but they'll deal with whoever, okay? But at any rate, Lane Freeborn is my guest. Lane, before the break, we were talking a little bit about how you got caught up in that. I think that those are the stories that everybody always really wants to hear. So tell us a little bit about how you got caught up in this whole thing and how you wound up doing what you're doing now because of it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I was a kid, we call him just the classic Young Life kid who, I came from a good family and I had a loving family, but I had a lot of internal struggles and just through traumas that I'd been through when I was younger, I formed into kind of a rebellious kid and a kid who really was just kind of lost. And I really put it into terms to folks that I would walk into a room a lot and not feel like I belonged there. And I remember being, a 7th or 8th grader and having a volunteer Young Life leader who was older, and I didn't really know who he was, come into my lunchroom and say, hey, have you ever heard of Wildlife? Do you want to come tonight? And being, a little strangely weirded out of like, what is this guy doing here? But had a couple friends that went and they took me along, and I remember walking into the Wildlife Club room and just kids were bouncing off the walls, playing crazy games. Everybody was so welcoming, and I really felt this presence of love in the room. And I remember feeling maybe for the first time, man, I belong in this room. I'm welcome in this room. And it started from there where I just really started to go to Young Life consistently and got invited to a summer camp where I heard about Jesus. I heard about my sin. I heard about the fact that God loved me so much that, he put it all on the cross so that I could come into a relationship with him. And I didn't understand.
And those were messages you'd heard already.
Absolutely.
But you didn't own them in the same way.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the piece of that is one is the relationship that had been built between my Young Life leader and myself, where I felt like it kind of clicked of like he was pursuing me in the same way that God does, my Young Life leader. And then the other piece of it is just being at a Young Life camp and having no distractions, no family, no cell phone, no anything that was getting in the way of me having a conversation with God. And so that's kind of where my journey began with God. And it's been, as I'm sure you can attest, your walk with Christ is not an easy one. I was in high school when the tornado hit and experienced a lot of hurt and pain from that, lost friends and those things. But Young Life and people who loved God chose to continue to just build a relationship and pursue me in a way that was really impactful. And so when I graduated high school, I'd come through kind of a lot in high school and really felt for the first time that the Lord was putting a calling or a meaning to my life that I would do this as well. And so that's what got me started. And I went to Missouri Southern State University here and actually studied English. But during that time,
That's good. Maybe then you can speak in proper sentences and make sure that that you communicate well. This is
I know
a good
English
thing.
very well. Yes,
That's
it's
good.
my first language, and
My first and second.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, exactly. I volunteered as a Young Life leader, and as I graduated college, I had an opportunity to be on staff with Young Life, and I took it and run with it since.
You've run with it since. And so you've been the director, you told me during the break, since February.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you're coming up, on, what is that, February, and this is coming up almost 6 months.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Yeah,
but 6 months is coming up. Yeah,
coming up,
fast.
pretty fast, yeah.
Yeah, so.
This is July, so by the time, you're packing it in there.
All right, there.
Don't worry, you're good. It's all good.
It's been a fun and crazy semester. We just finished up our clubs, so it's exciting. And we just had our camp trip, which was really fun and
neat.
So we're kind of gearing up for the new school year.
Well, yeah, because you guys, if you don't get ready now, you're going to be, in the dirt. You're going to be a cloud by the time it hits. Yeah, because July, there's a lot of prep work that's involved getting ready for all that stuff. So, in terms of your kind of your trajectory here. How long do folks often work with Young Life? I mean, just until God nudges you to do something different, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. I mean, I think you always have to look at your calling and make sure that you're in touch with that conversation with God. But I truly feel that He's led me to this area, it being my home area, and that I'll probably be with Young Life personally for until he tells me to
Until
stop.
it tells you to do something
A
different.
lot of our volunteers as college students, they do it through college. We have a lot of adult volunteers in the area who
Right.
have led for 5, 10, 15 years with us. And so it really just depends on the specific case. But most of our students being college students, I'd say we get a lot of volunteers from that. And so it's 4 to 5 years they're with us. And,
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I think that some of the more evangelical groups, which I'd kind of put you guys in that category
yeah.
of being, I think you guys are really good at what I would call initial evangelization. I mean, you guys are, I think you're better at that than we are. We're kind of like, we kind of hang back a little bit. We're just kind of like, let's hang back a little bit. And if you approach us, we're happy to mix it up and
Right.
share it and everything. But you guys don't wait for that to happen. And I get a little envious sometimes of the models that you guys use, because I think it's, I just think that there's so many things getting in so many people's way that to have some strategies that actually just unfearfully just goes out and opens the door and engages people and says, come on and let's see what we can do. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll send some of my college students who want to work with our youth to you guys, and you can kind of show them how to get more comfortable with that, because that's one of those things
Yeah.
that we sometimes struggle with.
We love that, and honestly, we like to really say that we're kind of the bridging of the gap between the church and kids
Right.
who are unchurched, and so, but we really have in recent years done a great job of doing that kind of partnership with the church, and so on Mondays when I go into school lunches, I often see youth pastors, and there is that connection of,
I just need to go.
yeah, come with
I got
me.
the
That'd be
coolest
awesome.
clothes.
There you go.
I got them. I got the cool clothes.
Yeah, and because that's our hope is that the church is, our founder Jim Rayburn. We've been an organization as a whole for about 80 years, but upon his death, he released some journals of just some of the goals he had, and one of the coolest things that I think is one of his goals was that Young Life would no longer be in existence by 1980 or early 80s, so that all the kids were back in the church, and that the church was really fully active in schools and all those kind of things. And
It's a great dream.
It is. It is.
There's a great quote from an old theater piece. I mean, at least like 40 years old now, but it was. And in the quote, is it Mass Appeal? No, it's not Mass Appeal. Which I'm pulling the wrong name. Maybe I'll think of it. But at any rate, the quote, I can remember the quote. I can't remember the title. Great, good for me.
Yeah.
That's always helpful. But the thing was, that this young priest is trying to give a sermon, and he's being trained by this. He's been trained by this older pastor, and he gives this homily where he says, "The goal of the church is to become obsolete." And the pastor, just goes absolutely ballistic because he's like, "What are you talking about? I mean, did you realize how many people you upset from the parish council? That we're talking about the church of the goals. You're crazy." And all he was really talking about was the fact is that same dream.
Yeah.
To say, God, wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to use all these guerrilla tactics in terms of initially evangelizing and connecting
Sure.
with people, but we do, because there's so much in everybody's way.
Yeah.
There's so much in everybody's way.
It's just a fallen world, a lot of brokenness and
Yeah.
hurt, and absolutely. And so I think that's where Young Life is just we're on the fringes of that, really trying to get in.
Like I say, I was very happy when one of my Catholic parishioners, who's been a long-term supporter of Young Life, she said, "Hey, we got a new director. We got to go ahead and you got to meet him." I'm like, "Great, let's bring him on. Let's do it." But I love that when we are. I think we're at our best. I think all of us who are trying to make Joplin a better place because it's Joplin. Those of us who are trying to make a better place because we think God wants it that way.
Yeah.
We think the Lord wants us to do it. I think all of us who do that are at our best when we're actually just kind of not being so territorial, and we're working together, and we're just trying to talk to each other about how do we make this whole thing better.
That's right.
Because I know our version of Christianity is not going to appeal to everybody. But I would hope that they can still get the opportunity to meet somebody. Is there the danger? Because sometimes people say, "Father, are you worried about any of our Catholic kids, sometimes going somewhere else?" And I'm just like, well, no, I'm never thrilled when it happens. But I got to tell you that if they, in all honesty, if they're not finding him through us, I'd rather them still find him.
That's right.
I'd rather them find him through us. I mean, I'm not going to be, I'm just being honest there. But I mean, but if they can't and something else works, well, let that be the initial thing, and then maybe we'll still be able to invite back or do some of those things, because we'd all be doing it differently if we thought we had a better way of doing it.
That's right.
You know,
and I think the goal is the kingdom of heaven. We get there and everybody's going to be there. How we got there through whatever denomination we served in or came to know Him in. Everybody's going to be there in a pretty joyous way. So
hey, real quick before we get, because we're close to the end here.
Sure.
Do you have a phone number where, like, grandma or grandpa, or a website or something, just where grandma, grandpa, mom or dad could kind of connect? I mean, I know you do the schools, but go ahead and tell everybody where we can find you.
JoplinYoungLife.com.
JoplinYoungLife.com
is the website that we kind of tell where our services are. Okay. Camp trips, that kind of thing. But there's
all
also,
one word, JoplinYoungLife.com.
Correct.
And the phone number?
417-540-8872. It's my number, and I'll field a lot of those questions. And we're in a season right now, Father Jay, where we've been around for 20 years, but we are kind of transitioning some of our committee members and board members and leaders, and we're hoping that we're bringing on some new folks in the community.
Real quick, 417-540-8872. I'll give you that again right after this Mercy Minute. Stick around.
I've had mammograms on the bus probably 12 to 15 times. It has been a lifesaver for me.
The quality of the reading is exactly the same. I will go back home tonight, download these images into the same computer system that the other images that they've been taking at the clinic today, and they'll all be read.
The earlier the better. Don't wait, don't put it off. Get started and do it every year.
Well, again, thanks for joining us for another Sunday morning for Faith in Our Hometown. I am absolutely just honored that you spend part of your Sunday morning with me some of the time. And I was very honored this morning to spend a little bit of that time with one of our young ministers here in the area, Lane Freeborn, who works for Young Life here in our area. Young Life does great work in terms of especially the initial evangelization of our youth for Christ. I love their tactics. I love their spirit. I love talking to Lane this morning about just his passion for reaching other people because he believes in something. He was reached as a young person by Young Life, and so now has taken on that mantle of trying to reach others in the same manner, and so they can share what matters to them in life. So thanks for joining us this morning. I hope your week is absolutely blessed, and come back and join us next week for Faith in Our Hometown.
Thanks for watching. Faith in Our Hometown can be seen Sunday mornings at 6:30 and 9 a.m. on KSN. Brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.